Close your eyes and let your breathing slow. Feel yourself sinking deeper into comfort as we begin our journey to a place where the world moves at the pace of gentle waves. Tonight, we travel to Bora Bora, a jewel floating in the vast expanse of the South Pacific Ocean. Imagine yourself drifting on calm, warm waters, surrounded by endless blue. Bora Bora rests in the heart of French Polynesia, one of the most remote and pristine corners of our planet. This tiny paradise sits roughly halfway between California and Australia, a speck of volcanic beauty in an ocean that covers nearly half the Earth. The island belongs to the Society Islands archipelago, a collection of tropical gems scattered across the Pacific like stars across a midnight sky. Let your mind drift now to the unique shape of this island. Bora Bora is embraced by nature itself, surrounded by a protective lagoon and a coral barrier reef that encircles it like a loving guardian. The lagoon creates a natural sanctuary, a pool of tranquility where the ocean's wildness is tamed into something soft and gentle. Picture this barrier reef, alive with coral formations that have grown for thousands of years, creating an underwater garden that rings the island in a perfect embrace. As you breathe slowly in and out, visualize the island's most striking feature rising from its center. Mount Otomanu stands as the sleeping giant of Bora Bora, an extinct volcano that reaches 727 meters into the tropical sky. This ancient peak, covered in lush green vegetation, watches over the island like a peaceful guardian. The volcano has been silent for millions of years, its fiery heart long cooled, leaving only this magnificent monument of dark volcanic rock crowned with clouds. Feel yourself becoming smaller, more peaceful, as you consider the island's intimate size. Bora Bora stretches across just about 12 square miles of land. You could walk its circumference in an afternoon. Though why would you rush when time moves differently here? This small size creates an island that feels both contained and infinite, where every beach, every palm tree, every gentle hillside becomes familiar, yet never loses its magic. In this smallness, there is perfection. Now let your thoughts drift to the water itself, the element that defines Bora Bora's soul. The lagoon waters are legendary, crystal clear and luminous, ranging from the palest turquoise in the shallows to deep sapphire blue where the reef drops away into the ocean depths. Imagine looking down through 15 feet of water so transparent it's like peering through air, watching tropical fish glide beneath you in colors that seem painted by dreams. The sand beneath the lagoon is so white it glows, reflecting light back through the water, creating that signature aquamarine that has become Bora Bora's calling card. This island has earned many names over the centuries, but one stands above all others. Bora Bora is known as the Pearl of the Pacific, and like a pearl, it is both precious and perfect, formed over time into something rare and beautiful. The name captures everything about this place: its value, its beauty, its luminous quality that seems to glow from within. Just as a pearl is created layer by layer in the quiet darkness of an oyster, Bora Bora has been shaped by the patient work of volcanic fire, coral growth, and endless tides into something extraordinary. Let your breathing deepen as we explore one of Bora Bora's most iconic contributions to the world of travel. The overwater bungalow, that dreamy accommodation where you sleep above the lagoon with fish swimming beneath your glass floor panels, originated in this very region of French Polynesia. What began as a simple concept has become synonymous with tropical luxury. Picture yourself in one of these floating sanctuaries, lulled to sleep by the gentle lapping of water against the stilts, waking to sunrise painting the lagoon in shades of gold and pink. And finally, as you drift deeper towards sleep, consider the barrier reef once more. This coral ring does more than surround the island with beauty. It protects the lagoon, creating waters so calm and serene that they rarely show more than the gentlest ripple. While the Pacific Ocean can rage and storm beyond the reef, inside the lagoon there is only peace. The reef breaks the waves, filters the currents, and creates this perfect sanctuary where the water is as still as a mountain lake, as warm as a bath, as clear as a summer sky. Rest now in this image of Bora Bora, a small island cradled by protective waters, crowned by an ancient volcano, glowing with light reflected from sand and sea. Feel the warmth of the Pacific sun, hear the whisper of palm fronds in the breeze, and let yourself drift on those crystalline waters. You are safe, you are peaceful, you are floating in the pearl of the Pacific. Breathe deeply and let yourself sink even further into relaxation. The night deepens around you, and our journey through Bora Bora continues, like a slow drift on moonlit water. Listen closely to the name itself, Bora Bora. Let it roll through your mind like a gentle wave. But this was not always its name. The island's original Tahitian name was Bora Bora, meaning firstborn. In the soft, flowing Tahitian language, there is no B sound, only the gentle P. When European explorers first heard the name spoken by the islanders, their ears transformed it, and Bora Bora became Bora Bora. Firstborn, the first child of the gods who created these islands. Even in its name, you can hear its ancient importance, its sacred place in Polynesian history. Feel your body growing heavier, more relaxed, as we drift back through time. Long before tourists or resorts, long before the name was ever written on a map, this island was discovered by Polynesian voyagers. Around the 4th century, brave navigators in double-hulled canoes crossed vast stretches of open ocean, guided by stars and currents and the flight of birds. They found this volcanic peak rising from the sea and knew they had discovered paradise. For over 1,600 years, Polynesian people have called this island home, their culture woven into every beach, every mountain path, every sunset. Now bring your awareness to the present, to the gentle rhythm of life on the island today. Approximately 10,000 people call Bora Bora home, their lives moving to the slow, peaceful tempo of island time. Imagine a place where everyone knows everyone, where faces are familiar, where the pace of life is measured not in hours but in tides and seasons. These 10,000 souls live in harmony with the lagoon, with the reef, with the ancient volcano that watches over them. In such a small community, there is intimacy, connection, a sense of belonging that cities have forgotten. Let your mind's eye wander to the island's heart, its gathering place. On the western shore of the main island sits Bedtime, the largest village and the administrative center of Bora Bora. Picture a small, charming collection of buildings where colorful fishing boats bob in the harbor. Bedtime is where the ferry arrives, where the local market displays tropical fruits in pyramids of color, where the post office and town hall conduct their quiet business. It's not a city, not even a large town, just a peaceful village where the most important daily event might be the arrival of the supply boat, where time is marked by the opening and closing of the small shops along the waterfront. Feel the warmth now, the constant, gentle warmth that embraces Bora Bora year-round. The island basks in a tropical climate where temperatures hover eternally between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. There is no winter here, no autumn chill, no spring awakening. Every day is summer, though summer softened and perfected. The trade winds blow steadily, keeping the heat from becoming oppressive, creating instead a perpetual state of warmth that soaks into your bones and melts away tension. Even the rain, when it comes, falls warm, a brief tropical shower that cools the air for moments before the sun returns. Now let yourself drift beneath the surface of that crystal lagoon, in your mind's eye, to meet the creatures who make these waters their home. The lagoon is alive with marine life, an underwater ballet of grace and color. Blacktip reef sharks glide through the shallows, harmless and elegant, their dorsal fins cutting the surface like living sculptures. Stingrays rest on the sandy bottom, their wings rippling slowly, while schools of tropical fish, butterfly fish in yellow and black, parrotfish in impossible blues and greens, angelfish striped like prisoners of beauty, weave between coral formations. And in deeper waters, the gentle giants arrive. Manta rays with wingspans wider than a car, gliding through the blue like underwater birds, their movements so graceful they seem to be dancing rather than swimming. Shift your awareness now to the ring of small islands that encircle Bora Bora's main island. These are called motus, small, low-lying islands of coral and sand that rest on the barrier reef itself. Picture these narrow strips of white sand, crowned with coconut palms, scattered around the lagoon like a pearl necklace. Some motus are inhabited, with a few homes and small resorts. Others remain pristine and wild, visited only by seabirds and the occasional adventurer. These motus create a double embrace. The reef protects the lagoon, and the motus rest on the reef, stepping stones between the main island and the open ocean. On a motu, you can stand with one foot facing the calm lagoon and the other facing the wild Pacific, living on the edge between two worlds. And finally, as sleep draws even closer, let yourself drift to a chapter of history that brought the wider world to this remote paradise. During World War II, Bora Bora became an unexpected player on the global stage. In 1942, the United States military established a supply base here, transforming the quiet island into a strategic outpost in the Pacific Theater. American servicemen, perhaps 5,000 of them, found themselves stationed in paradise, maintaining fuel depots and defending these waters. They built roads, an airstrip, and coastal defense guns, though remarkably, not a single shot was ever fired in combat here. The war passed Bora Bora by, leaving the island untouched by violence, though forever changed by its brush with the outside world. Today, some of those old military structures remain, slowly being reclaimed by jungle, silent monuments to the time when world history touched this peaceful shore. Rest now with these images, an island first born from fire and sea, settled by stargazers, home to gentle souls, where warm waters teem with life, ringed by coral islands, touched by history but never broken. Feel yourself floating in those protected waters, surrounded by motus, watched over by the ancient volcano, part of a story that stretches back through 16 centuries to the first canoe that arrived on these shores. Let your breathing slow even more, each exhale releasing another layer of tension. Our journey continues through this island paradise, where every detail reveals another reason to let go, to drift, to simply be. Listen now to the voices of Bora Bora, the languages that float through the warm air. Two official languages are spoken here, French and Tahitian, existing side by side like the lagoon and the ocean. French, the colonial legacy, is the language of government and education, crisp and formal. But Tahitian flows like water, musical and ancient, filled with vowels that seem to carry the sound of waves and wind. The locals slip between both languages effortlessly, sometimes within a single sentence, and visitors learn quickly that Ia ora na means hello, a greeting as warm as the sun on your skin. Imagine hearing these soft Tahitian words drifting across the lagoon at sunset, vowels stretched long and melodies, a language that seems designed for poetry rather than conversation. As you sink deeper into comfort, consider the island's currency, a detail that reminds us how far we are from the familiar world. Bora Bora uses the CFP franc, the currency of French Polynesia. Its full name, the franc of the French Pacific colonies, echoes history, while its colorful bills decorated with tropical fish and Polynesian designs celebrate the present. The exchange rate dances somewhere around 100 francs to $1, though such numbers hardly matter in a place where the true currency is time, beauty, and peace. Picture those bills, works of art themselves, passed from hand to hand in the small shops of Bedtime, each transaction unhurried, accompanied by a smile. Now let your mind drift to the luxury that has become synonymous with Bora Bora's name. In 1961, something extraordinary happened. The Hotel Bora Bora opened as the island's first major resort, and with it came a revolution in tropical tourism. This wasn't just a hotel. It was a statement that this remote island could offer world-class hospitality without sacrificing its natural beauty. That first resort set a standard that others would follow, establishing Bora Bora as the ultimate destination for honeymoons and romantic escapes. Today, the island hosts some of the most luxurious resorts in the world, but each one must maintain strict building codes. No structure can be taller than the highest coconut palm. Even luxury bows to nature here. Feel yourself drifting now beneath those palm trees, where another treasure grows in the shade. Vanilla, that most precious of spices, thrives in the humid warmth of French Polynesia. The vanilla orchid, a climbing vine with delicate flowers, must be hand-pollinated, flower by flower, each bloom opening for just a few hours before closing forever. The resulting vanilla pods, dark and fragrant, are among the finest in the world. Tahitian vanilla, with its floral, almost fruity aroma, different from any other. Picture the patient work of cultivating these vines, the careful hand-pollination at dawn, the months of curing the pods until they develop that intoxicating scent. Some farms welcome visitors to see this labor of love, this plant that turns sunlight and care into edible luxury. Let your awareness shift now to an even more valuable treasure, one that grows in the lagoon itself. Bora Bora is famous for its black pearl farms, where the large black-lipped oyster, Pinctada margaritifera, creates jewels of astonishing beauty. These aren't truly black. They shimmer with overtones of green, purple, blue, and silver, each pearl absolutely unique. The oyster is seeded with a small bead and a piece of mantle tissue from another oyster, then returned to the lagoon to work its slow magic. For 2 years or more, the oyster coats that bead with layer upon layer of nacre, creating a pearl. Imagine these oyster farms stretching across the lagoon, lines of shells suspended in the clear water, each one a tiny factory of beauty, transforming irritation into treasure. The black pearls of French Polynesia are among the most prized gems in the world, and Bora Bora's lagoon is their birthplace. Now bring your attention to something deeper, something that connects modern Bora Bora to its ancient roots. Traditional Polynesian culture remains alive here, woven into daily life like threads of gold. The art of tattooing, tatau in Tahitian, which gave us our English word tattoo, is sacred here. Polynesian tattoos are not mere decoration but tell stories, mark achievements, connect the wearer to ancestors and gods. The geometric patterns, the symbols of sharks' teeth and waves and tiki figures, each element carries meaning. In recent decades, there has been a revival of this ancient art, young Polynesians reclaiming their heritage one tattoo at a time. Picture the tap-tap-tap of the traditional tattoo tool, bone or tusk tapped with a stick, ink worked into skin in patterns that have been passed down for generations. Each mark a sentence in a story written on the body. Let yourself smile now at a curious fact, one that makes Bora Bora even more of a paradise. There are no snakes on the island. None. Not a single serpent has ever made its home here. This is true of all of French Polynesia, one of the few places on Earth where you can walk barefoot through any jungle, any garden, any shadowy place without fear of what might be coiled in the undergrowth. The absence is so complete that locals sometimes struggle to believe in snakes at all, seeing them only in pictures and videos, creatures as mythical as dragons. Imagine hiking through lush tropical forest, reaching into thick vegetation without hesitation, sleeping with your windows open to the night breeze, all without the slightest concern. Paradise, it seems, includes freedom from serpents. And finally, as sleep approaches on soft feet, picture the evening ritual that makes Bora Bora legendary. The island faces west, and every evening delivers a sunset that seems designed to stop time. The sun, that molten disk of gold, descends toward the horizon beyond the reef, and the entire sky transforms. First gold, then orange, then pink, purple, crimson. Colors that seem impossible, painted across clouds and reflected in the mirror-still lagoon. The silhouettes of the motus stand dark against this riot of color, palm trees in black against fire. Mount Otamanu turns purple in the fading light. And as the sun slips beneath the ocean, there's often a green flash, a split-second phenomenon where the very last sliver of sun appears emerald green. Locals watch for it, this gift from nature, this wink goodnight from the sun. Then twilight comes, brief and blue, before the stars emerge in their thousands. The same stars that guided those first Polynesian voyages to these shores 16 centuries ago. Rest now in this island of gentle voices and precious treasures, where vanilla grows and pearls form in patient darkness, where ancient art marks skin with stories, where no serpent ever slithered, and where each sunset is a masterpiece painted new. Feel the warm breeze, hear the Tahitian words floating past like musical notes, and let yourself drift into dreams as soft as those black pearls growing silently in the lagoon. Your body is heavy now, relaxed, sinking deeper into peace. Let the story of Bora Bora continue to unfold like a gentle dream, each detail another reason to let go completely. Imagine now your arrival to this island paradise, and prepare for something unexpected. When your plane descends toward Bora Bora, you don't land on the main island at all. The airport sits on Motamute, one of those slender coral islands on the outer reef. From your window, you see the impossibly blue lagoon spread before you, Mount Otamanu rising beyond, but your wheels touch down on this narrow strip of coral and sand. It's a perfect introduction to island life. You must take a boat to reach your destination. There are no roads connecting you, no bridges spanning the gap. From the moment you arrive, you're reminded that this is an island world, where water isn't an obstacle but the very fabric of life. A boat meets you at the small terminal, and you cross the lagoon in the open air, spray on your face, wind in your hair, arriving not by vehicle but by wave. Let your mind drift now to the deeper meaning in the island's name. While Bora Bora means firstborn, some scholars and storytellers translate Bora Bora in another way, created by the gods. Think about that for a moment. Created by the gods. Not discovered, not formed by chance, but deliberately crafted by divine hands as a gift to the world. Whether you believe the legend or not, when you see the island in person, the perfect mountain, the luminous lagoon, the protective reef, it's easy to understand why people would think this place could only be the work of gods. What mortal hands could arrange such beauty? What accident of geology could be so precisely perfect? Feel yourself floating now on the lagoon and notice something remarkable. The water isn't just one shade of blue. Depending on depth, time of day, cloud cover, and what lies beneath, the lagoon displays as many as 50 distinct shades of blue and turquoise. 50. From the palest aqua over white sand shallows to deep navy where channels cut through the reef. From turquoise where sunlight illuminates coral gardens to silvery blue in the shade of clouds. Each shift in color marks a change in the underwater world. A deeper channel, a coral formation, a sandy patch. Local boatmen know these colors like a language, reading the water to navigate safely. Close your eyes and imagine swimming through the spectrum, watching the color shift around you like moving through a liquid rainbow, each shade of blue more beautiful than the last. Now travel back in time once more, to the age of those first Polynesian navigators who discovered these islands. These voyagers accomplished something almost unbelievable. They crossed thousands of miles of open ocean without compasses, without maps, without any of the instruments we consider essential. How? They read the stars with perfect accuracy, memorizing the position of hundreds of celestial points. They read the waves, understanding how swells refract around distant islands, creating patterns that reveal land over the horizon. They watched birds, knowing which species travel far from shore and which return to land each night. They tasted the water and studied the clouds. This wasn't luck or accident. This was science, passed down through generations, a body of knowledge as sophisticated as any modern navigation system. These master navigators found Bora Bora not by chance but by skill, intelligence, and profound understanding of the ocean and sky. Let your attention shift now to the vibrant colors worn by the people of Bora Bora. The pareo, a simple length of brightly colored cotton cloth, is the traditional garment of French Polynesia, and it remains beloved today. A pareo can be worn a dozen different ways, as a skirt, a dress, a shawl, a head covering, even a bag. The patterns are spectacular: bold tropical flowers, sea turtles, fish, abstract designs in colors that mirror the lagoon and sunset. Watch a Tahitian woman tie her pareo, the fabric transforming in her hands with a few swift movements from cloth to couture. Men wear them too, knotted at the waist, practical and cool in the tropical heat. In these simple lengths of fabric, you see the Polynesian genius for elegance without complication, for beauty in simplicity. The pareo is democracy in clothing. One size fits all. One garment serves all purposes. One piece of cloth becomes anything you need. Breathe in now and imagine the fragrances of Bora Bora, the flowers that perfume the air and adorn the landscape. The hibiscus blooms everywhere, bright red, sunset orange, butter yellow, pure white, each flower lasting only a day before falling. But the plants bloom so prolifically that there are always fresh flowers. Women tuck them behind their ears. Behind the left ear if they're taken, behind the right if they're available, behind both if they're married but available. But the true queen of Polynesian flowers is the tiar, the Tahitian gardenia. This small, white, star-shaped flower has a scent so sweet and intoxicating it seems to define the island. Tiar flowers are strung into leis, floated in bowls of water, tucked into hair, worn behind ears. Their scent is bottled in the famous monoi oil, tiar flowers steeped in coconut oil, creating a fragrance that visitors carry home as a liquid memory of paradise. Now let the rhythm of Bora Bora move through you, the ancient beat of Polynesian dance. The tama, or Ori Tahiti as it's known locally, is a dance of incredible energy and grace. Dancers' hips move at impossible speeds, a blur of motion while their upper bodies remain composed and elegant. The men's dances are powerful, knees bent, movements strong and grounded. The women's dances are fluid and sensual, telling stories with their hands while their hips keep the rapid rhythm. Traditional drums, the pahu and tor, provide the heartbeat, and the sound carries across the lagoon like the island's pulse made audible. At celebrations, at hotels, at festivals, The dancers appear in costumes of feathers and shells, flowers and woven palm fronds, their movements connecting modern Bora Bora to its ancient roots, keeping traditions alive through muscle memory and rhythm. And finally, let yourself stand beneath a coconut palm, that symbol of tropical paradise that defines the Bora Bora landscape. These elegant trees, curving toward the lagoon as if bowing to the water, are more than decoration, they're life itself. The Polynesians call the coconut palm the tree of life, and with good reason. The young coconuts provide drinking water, sterile and sweet. The meat is food, eaten fresh or dried into copra. The oil extracted from copra is used for cooking, for skin care, for lamp fuel. The husks provide fiber for rope and matting. The shells become bowls, utensils, and musical instruments. The fronds are woven into roofs, walls, baskets, and fans. The trunk provides timber for building. One tree, 100 uses. Stand beneath these palms, hear the fronds rattling in the trade winds like gentle applause, and understand that you're in the presence of something sacred. A plant so generous, so essential, that without it, life on these coral islands would be nearly impossible. Rest now in this knowledge of island rhythms and island gifts. Arriving by boat across blue water, living in a place crafted by gods, surrounded by 50 shades of paradise, guided by ancient wisdom, wrapped in bright perios, perfumed by tiar, moving to drumbeats old as the volcano, sheltered by the tree of life. Feel the hibiscus behind your ear, smell the sweet gardenia, hear the drums in the distance, and let yourself drift away on these rhythms, these colors, these ancient and eternal patterns of island life. Your breathing is slow and steady now, as peaceful as the lagoon at dawn. Let yourself drift even deeper as we continue through this island paradise, where simplicity itself becomes a kind of perfection. Imagine now a road that circles the entire island, a ribbon of pavement that traces the shoreline of the main island. This road is just 19 miles long, or 32 kilometers if you prefer, a distance you could drive in less than an hour, though no one ever does. Why rush when every bend reveals another view, another reason to slow down? This single road connects all the small communities, all the beaches, all the viewpoints. There are no highways here, no intersections with traffic lights, no complexity of urban planning. Just one road, following the curve of the island like a necklace follows the curve of a throat. You can set out in the morning and return by evening, having circumnavigated your entire world, perhaps stopping to swim at every beach along the way. In this simplicity, there is freedom. You can never be lost, never take a wrong turn. The road always brings you home. Let your mind drift now to Bora Bora's place in the greater archipelago. The island belongs to a special group called the Leeward Islands, the western half of the Society Islands chain. Leeward means sheltered from the wind, and these islands, Bora Bora, Taha, Raiatea, Huahine, Maupiti, rest in the gentler waters west of Tahiti. They are sisters, these islands, all born from the same volcanic hotspot as the Pacific Plate slowly drifted northwest over millions of years. Tahiti and Moorea are the Windward Islands, catching the brunt of the trade winds. But here in the Leeward group, life is even more relaxed, even more peaceful, sheltered not just from wind but from the faster pace of the more developed islands. Bora Bora is the jewel of the Leeward Islands, the most famous, but each island has its own magic, its own quiet perfection. Feel yourself sinking deeper now as you contemplate the beautiful simplicity of island transportation. There is no public bus system on Bora Bora, no subway, no train, no scheduled public transport at all. Instead, life moves by simpler means. People drive small cars or ride bicycles along that single circular road. They travel by boat across the lagoon, the most natural highway this island offers. They walk, feeling no pressure to rush. Some visitors rent scooters and cruise the island with warm wind in their faces. The absence of public transportation isn't a lack, it's a return to human scale, to a pace where you don't need schedules and routes, where life itself provides the structure. Picture yourself on a bicycle, pedaling slowly along the coastal road, ocean on one side, mountain on the other, with nowhere you need to be and all day to get there. Now consider the heartbeat of modern Bora Bora, the industry that sustains those 10,000 souls. Tourism is essentially the entire economy of the island. Almost every job, every business, every opportunity connects somehow to the visitors who come seeking paradise. The hotels and resorts, of course, but also the restaurants, the boat tours, the dive shops, the pearl shops, the artists selling paintings and carvings, the dancers performing at evening shows, the fishermen supplying fresh catch to resort kitchens. Even the vanilla farmers and pearl cultivators depend largely on tourist purchases. This could make Bora Bora feel artificial, but somehow it doesn't. Perhaps because the Polynesians have always been welcoming, have always shared their home with travelers. The warmth isn't manufactured for tourist dollars, it's genuine, part of the culture itself. And the island remains beautiful because tourism here is luxury tourism, limited by the small size and strict building codes, never overwhelming the natural paradise that visitors come to experience. Let your awareness drift now beneath the clear water once more, to meet another resident of the lagoon. Lemon sharks, pale yellow-brown and sleek, patrol these protected waters. Their name comes from their color, not their temperament, though they are generally gentle creatures despite being sharks. Young lemon sharks use the shallow lagoon as a nursery, growing up in these protected waters before heading out to the open ocean as adults. Snorkelers often encounter them in the shallows and, after the initial shock of seeing that distinctive shark shape, discover there's nothing to fear. These sharks are curious but not aggressive toward humans, more interested in the small fish they hunt. Imagine floating in crystal water, watching a lemon shark cruise past below you, all grace and purpose, a perfect hunting machine that has remained virtually unchanged for millions of years. In the lagoon, even predators seem peaceful. Now picture the sleek racing canoes that skim across the lagoon, connecting Bora Bora to its seafaring past. The VAA, outrigger canoes, are still central to Polynesian culture, though today they're used more for sport and ceremony than for survival. These vessels, whether single-person racing canoes or large ceremonial VAA that require teams of paddlers, embody thousands of years of nautical engineering. The outrigger, that distinctive float extending from one side, provides stability, allowing these narrow, fast hulls to slice through water without tipping. Races and regattas bring communities together, and the sight of a team paddling in perfect synchronization, their paddle blades flashing in unison, is like watching poetry in motion. Some luxury resorts offer guests the chance to paddle a VAA at sunrise, gliding silently across the glassy lagoon, connecting for a moment to the navigators who first discovered these islands. Feel the warmth shift now as we acknowledge Bora Bora's seasons, subtle but real. The island has a tropical monsoon climate, with a wet season from November through April and a dry season from May through October. But don't let wet season conjure images of endless rain. Even in the wettest months, rain often falls at night or in brief afternoon showers, leaving most days sunny and warm. The wet season is warmer, more humid, with temperatures in the mid-80s Fahrenheit. The dry season is slightly cooler and less humid, temperatures in the high 70s, with clearer skies and calmer seas. Many consider May through October the ideal time to visit, but honeymooners fill the resorts year-round, because even the wet season offers far more sunshine than rain. Picture a warm tropical shower, brief and refreshing, followed by a rainbow arcing over Mount Otamanu, and you understand that even rain in paradise is somehow perfect. And finally, as sleep draws very near, think about what sustained Bora Bora before the tourists arrived, before the resorts and overwater bungalows transformed the island. For much of the 20th century, copra was king. Copra, dried coconut meat, was Bora Bora's main export. The dried white flesh of coconut split, dried in the sun, and shipped away to be processed into coconut oil. It was hard work under the hot sun, gathering fallen coconuts, splitting them, extracting the meat, drying it on racks. The copra would be loaded onto boats and sent to Tahiti, then onward to the world. The price of copra on global markets determined the island's fortunes. Today, copra production has largely faded, unable to compete with tourism's far greater returns. But some families still produce it, maintaining the tradition, and the coconut palms still drop their fruit, whether anyone gathers it or not. The tree of life continues to offer its gifts, even now that the island has found easier prosperity. Rest now with these images. A simple road circling a complete world, an island sheltered among sisters, life moving at bicycle pace, an economy built on sharing paradise, gentle sharks in the shallows, ancestral canoes still cutting the water, subtle seasons marking time, and coconut palms that once fed an economy and still feed the soul. Feel yourself pedaling slowly along that coastal road, watching VAA paddlers in the distance, breathing the humid air of the wet season, knowing that everything you need exists within this simple circle. Let the simplicity soothe you, the completeness relax you, and drift now toward dreams as gentle as trade winds rustling through palm fronds. You are so relaxed now, so peaceful, floating on the edge of sleep like a boat drifting on still water. Let the story continue to wash over you, gentle as wavelets on a sandy shore. Imagine now that you're sitting at a simple table on the beach, and before you is placed a dish that contains the essence of Bora Bora itself. Poisson cru, raw fish salad, is the national dish of French Polynesia, and nowhere is it more perfect than here. Fresh tuna or mahi-mahi, caught that morning from the lagoon or the ocean beyond the reef, is cubed into bite-sized pieces. The fish is cooked by marinating it in fresh lime juice, the acid gently firming the flesh, turning it opaque. Then comes the magic, coconut milk, squeezed from freshly grated coconut meat, is mixed with the lime-marinated fish. Add diced tomatoes, cucumber, onion, perhaps a little coconut meat itself. The result is cool, creamy, tangy, sweet. A symphony of flavors that tastes like the ocean and the palm grove had a child. Every family has their own recipe, their own proportions, but every version is delicious. Close your eyes and taste it. The freshness of the fish, the richness of coconut milk, the bright acid of lime, all blending into something that could only exist here, in this particular paradise. Let your mind wander now to another tree that stands beside the coconut palm in importance to island life. The breadfruit tree, Uru in Tahitian, grows tall and spreading, its large leaves providing deep shade, its branches heavy with round, green fruit the size of softballs. Breadfruit was so important to Polynesian survival that it was one of the plants the ancient voyagers carefully transported in their canoes, bringing it to each new island they settled. When cooked, breadfruit has a texture and taste somewhere between bread and potato, hence its English name. It can be roasted, baked, fried, or boiled. One tree produces enough fruit to feed a family, and it fruits multiple times a year. In the old days, Polynesians fermented breadfruit into a paste that could be stored for years, insurance against famine. Today, you'll find breadfruit in various dishes, often served as a starchy side, still nourishing island families as it has for over 1,000 years. Picture these majestic trees dotting the landscape, their branches laden with sustenance, asking nothing but sun and rain in return for abundance. Feel yourself growing heavier, more comfortable, as you consider the traditional homes of Bora Bora. The fair, pronounced Fare, is the traditional Polynesian house, and while modern construction has largely replaced them, you can still see fairs built in the traditional style. These houses are beautifully simple: a platform of coral or stone, posts of coconut or other hardwood, a steeply pitched roof thatched with pandanus leaves or palm fronds. Often there are no walls or only partial walls, because in this climate you need shelter from sun and rain but never from cold. The roof extends out in wide eaves, creating covered areas that are simultaneously indoors and outdoors. Woven mats cover the floor. The breeze blows through constantly. A fair is designed to work with the climate, not against it, to provide shade and protection while allowing air to circulate freely. In such a house, you're never cut off from nature, never separated from the sound of the wind, the smell of flowers, the sight of stars through the rafters at night. Now breathe deeply and let yourself relax even more with this comforting fact. Bora Bora has no dangerous spiders or insects. No venomous spiders lurk in dark corners. No aggressive wasps build nests under your eaves. No mosquitoes carry malaria or dengue. There are mosquitoes, yes, but the diseases they carry elsewhere are absent here. No biting ants march in armies through your belongings. No scorpions hide in your shoes. The worst you might encounter is a gecko on your wall, and geckos are friends, eating any small insects that do appear. This absence of danger extends beyond the lack of snakes we mentioned before. Bora Bora is remarkably free of creatures that bite, sting, or threaten. You can walk barefoot, sit anywhere, reach into any space, all without fear. Even Paradise's small creatures seem to have signed a treaty of peace with humanity. Let your mind drift now to the water beneath your overwater bungalow and notice something remarkable about the lagoon's depth. The lagoon is relatively shallow, most of it ranging between 20 to 40 feet deep, though some channels cut deeper. This perfect depth is part of what makes the lagoon so magical. It's deep enough to be brilliantly blue, deep enough for coral to thrive and fish to flourish, deep enough to swim and snorkel comfortably. But it's shallow enough that sunlight penetrates all the way to the bottom, illuminating the coral gardens, making the sand glow white, allowing the full spectrum of blues to develop. It's shallow enough to feel safe, to see what's below you, to never fear what might lurk in unseen depths. And it's shallow enough that the sun warms the water thoroughly, keeping it at a perfect temperature year-round. This depth is no accident. It's the result of the reef's height, the lagoon's position, the island's geography all combining to create something precisely, perfectly right. Now picture something that sounds almost too romantic to be real, yet exists here in Bora Bora. In 2008, the St. Regis Resort opened the world's first overwater wedding chapel. Imagine it, a small chapel, beautifully designed with Polynesian touches, standing on stilts above the crystal lagoon. Couples can marry with water on all sides, Mount Otamanu rising in the distance, fish swimming beneath the glass floor panels, the sunset painting the sky through the windows behind the altar. It's a place where ceremony and nature merge, where the sacred and the beautiful become one. The chapel represents something essential about Bora Bora, its role as the ultimate destination for romance, for new beginnings, for celebrating love. Thousands of couples have begun their married lives in this chapel over the lagoon. Their vows witnessed not just by family but by the island itself. Feel the gentle rocking now, as we turn our attention to another way people experience Bora Bora's waters. The lagoon is a paradise for sailors, and yachts and catamarans from around the world drop anchor here. Some visitors arrive on chartered sailboats, living aboard while they explore the island. Others take day sails, gliding across the lagoon under canvas, the trade winds filling the sails, the boat heeling gently as it cuts through those 50 shades of blue. Catamarans, with their 2 hulls and wide, stable deck, are especially popular, offering sunset cruises where champagne flows as freely as the compliments on the view. Picture yourself on a catamaran at dusk, no sound but the water rushing past the hulls and the wind in the rigging, watching the sun sink toward the horizon, Mount Otamanu turning purple against the gold and crimson sky. This is sailing at its most blissful, where weather is always fair, waters are always protected, and every direction offers beauty. And finally, as sleep draws so very close, think about how the ancient Polynesians harvested the bounty of the lagoon. Traditional fishing methods, some still practiced today, show remarkable ingenuity and deep understanding of fish behavior. Stone fish traps were built in the shallows, walls of stacked coral rocks arranged in a V-shape, open to the sea at high tide. Fish would swim in with the rising water, following the walls inward. Then, as the tide fell, the fish would be trapped in the enclosed area, easy to collect. These traps provided reliable food without requiring constant effort. Polynesians also used throw nets, cast in a perfect circle that sank and trapped fish beneath. They used spears, both thrown and used while diving. They knew which fish gathered where, which could be caught at night by torchlight, which appeared with certain moon phases. They took only what they needed, leaving the lagoon abundant for the next generation. Today, some local fishermen still use these ancient methods, maintaining a connection to the past while feeding their families from the same waters that fed their ancestors. Rest now with these flavors and images. The cool tang of Puson crew on your tongue, breadfruit trees heavy with sustenance. The open walls of a fair letting the breeze flow through, complete safety from any creature that might harm. Perfect shallow waters glowing with light. A chapel floating over the lagoon for love ceremonies. Sailboats gliding on trade winds. And ancient fish traps still teaching wisdom about living in harmony with the sea. Feel yourself in that fair, walls open to the night, breadfruit trees rustling outside, utterly safe, utterly peaceful, as a catamaran glides past in the moonlight. Let these images of daily island life, of sustenance and safety and simple joys, carry you now into the deepest, most peaceful sleep. You are drifting now, so close to sleep, your body completely at rest. Let the gentle current of this story carry you deeper still, into the heart of Bora Bora's mysteries and wonders. Bring your awareness now to Mount Otamanu's companion, a second peak that watches over the island. Mount Pahia rises to 661 meters, still impressive, still green and dramatic, though shorter than its famous neighbor. Together, these two volcanic remnants create Bora Bora's distinctive silhouette, the profile that appears on countless postcards and paintings. Mount Pahia's peak is more jagged, more dramatic in shape, with steep cliffs and sharp ridges carved by millions of years of tropical rain. While Otamanu is the star, Pahia is the character actor, adding depth and drama to every view. Some hiking trails lead partway up Pahia's slopes, through thick jungle where the air is heavy with moisture and the calls of tropical birds echo off stone walls. Picture these two mountains standing together like ancient brothers, remnants of the fire that built this island, now cool and covered in life, monuments to both creation and time. Let yourself relax even more deeply as we explore how traditional feasts are prepared on the island. The ahimare is the Tahitian earth oven, a cooking method that predates modern kitchens by centuries and produces food of incomparable flavor. A pit is dug in the ground and lined with volcanic stones. A fire is built over these stones and allowed to burn for hours until the rocks are scorching hot. Then the fire is cleared away and the food is arranged on the hot stones. Whole fish wrapped in banana leaves, breadfruit, taro, sweet potatoes, perhaps a pig if it's a major celebration. Everything is covered with more banana leaves, then buried under sand or earth to seal in the heat. For several hours, the food cooks slowly in this underground oven, steaming in its own juices, taking on a smoky, earthy flavor impossible to achieve any other way. When the ahimare is finally opened, releasing clouds of fragrant steam, the feast that emerges is tender, flavorful, infused with tradition. Some resort hotels still prepare ahimare for special events, keeping this ancient cooking method alive. Now let your mind drift to the beaches themselves, those stretches of impossibly white sand that ring the island. And here's something magical. That sand is made by fish. Parrotfish, with their distinctive beak-like mouths and brilliant colors, spend their days scraping algae off coral rocks. In the process, they consume small amounts of coral itself. Their digestive systems extract the nutrients, and they excrete fine coral sand. A single parrotfish can produce hundreds of pounds of sand each year. Those white beaches you walk on, that powder-soft sand that squeaks under your feet and glows in the sunshine, much of it passed through a parrotfish. The entire beach is, in a very real sense, alive, constantly being created by the living reef and the fish that graze upon it. Imagine snorkeling past a parrotfish, watching it scrape at coral with that powerful beak, knowing you're witnessing the creation of tomorrow's beach, grain by grain. Feel yourself sinking deeper now, back through time, to the spiritual foundation of this island. Before Christianity arrived, the Polynesians practiced a complex religion centered on gods, spirits, and ancestors. They built marae, stone platforms, and temples for ceremonies and worship. On Bora Bora, you can still visit these ancient marae, their stones standing in silent testimony to centuries of prayer and ritual. The platforms are surrounded by jungle now, covered in moss and creeping vines, but the stones remain carefully placed, each one positioned with purpose. At these sacred sites, kahuna, priests, would perform rituals, make offerings, and communicate with the gods. And everywhere you find tikis, carved stone or wood figures representing gods and ancestors, their stylized faces stern and powerful, their presence protective. Though most Bora Borans are Christian now, these ancient sites are still respected, still considered sacred. The old stones remember the old prayers, and the island honors that memory. Breathe slowly and consider this sobering reality of island life. Bora Bora must import almost everything. The island produces vanilla, coconuts, a few fruits and vegetables, some fish, but everything else must arrive by boat or plane. All the food in the resort restaurants, the fuel for vehicles and generators, the building materials, the furniture, the linens, even the bottled water, it all comes from elsewhere, primarily from Tahiti, which itself imports most goods from further away. Supply ships arrive regularly, and when they're delayed by weather or mechanical problems, shortages can occur. This dependence is the reality of living on a small, remote island. It makes life more expensive, more complicated, but also perhaps more precious. Nothing is taken for granted when everything must travel thousands of miles to reach you. The island teaches appreciation for simple things: gratitude for supplies that arrive, understanding that remoteness comes with both beauty and challenge. Let your awareness drift now beneath the lagoon once more, to witness one of nature's most spectacular events. Once a year, usually a few nights after a full moon in late spring, the corals of Bora Bora spawn. In a carefully synchronized mass spawning, thousands of coral polyps simultaneously release their eggs and sperm into the water, creating underwater blizzards of new life. The water becomes thick with these tiny gametes, swirling in the current, finding each other, beginning the process that will create new coral colonies. Divers lucky enough to witness this event describe it as magical, otherworldly. The lagoon transformed into a snow globe of creation. This spawning is why the reef remains healthy, how it repairs damage and grows new formations. It's the reef's way of ensuring its future, a celebration of life on a scale both microscopic and magnificent. Picture the lagoon filled with this underwater snowstorm, each tiny spark of life holding the potential to build new structures, new homes for fish, new beauty for human eyes. Now turn your attention to the green pharmacy that grows everywhere on the island. Traditional Polynesian medicine, Relaxation Tahiti, uses plants that grow wild in the jungle and in cultivated gardens. The nono fruit, despite its pungent smell, produces juice believed to have healing properties. The noni plant's leaves are used for everything from fever to infection. Coconut oil soothes burns and skin conditions. The leaves of the basil-like plant called sweet basil of Tahiti treat stomach ailments. Aloe vera, growing thick-leaved in the sun, heals cuts and burns. Ginger root settles nausea. The bark and leaves of various trees become teas for specific ailments. While modern medicine is available on the island, some families still maintain knowledge of these traditional remedies, passing it down from grandmother to grandchild, a living library of healing written in green leaves and roots. Imagine the healers of old, walking the jungle paths, knowing which plant would help which ailment, their knowledge as valuable as any modern pharmacy. And finally, as you drift toward the deepest sleep, contemplate the distant future of this beautiful island. Bora Bora is slowly sinking. All volcanic islands do. The volcanic peak that erupted from the seafloor millions of years ago has stopped growing, and now the ocean floor beneath it gradually subsides under the mountain's weight, sinking perhaps a few millimeters each year. In 1 million years, perhaps 2 million, Mount Otamanu will slip beneath the waves entirely. But the coral reef, if it remains healthy, will continue growing upward, keeping pace with the sinking land. Eventually, Bora Bora will become an atoll, a ring of coral with a lagoon in the center and no central island at all, like a wedding ring floating on the ocean. This is the life cycle of volcanic islands in the Pacific. Born in fire, growing old and green, eventually dissolving back into blue, leaving only a coral memory of what once stood there. But this future is so distant it barely matters. For now, for many human lifetimes to come, Bora Bora will stand as it does today. Green peak, blue lagoon, white beaches, perfect paradise. Rest now with these deep truths. Two mountains standing together through ages, food cooked in the earth itself, beaches born from living fish, ancient stones holding ancient prayers, ships bringing the world to this remote spot, coral snow falling in the lagoon once each year, healing plants growing wild, and the patient, inevitable transformation of mountains into memories. Feel the weight of time, the cycles of creation and dissolution, the way everything on this island is connected, reef to fish to sand, volcano to rain to jungle, past to present to distant future. Let this deep perspective, this long view, relax you completely. You are part of something vast and slow and beautiful, and in this moment, you are exactly where you need to be. Let go now. Let the island's patient rhythms carry you into dreams. You are almost asleep now, suspended in that perfect state between waking and dreaming. Let these final images from Bora Bora guide you into the deepest rest, each fact a gentle wave lapping at the shore of consciousness. Consider now the clock by which Bora Bora lives. The island operates on Tahiti time, which is 10 hours behind Coordinated Universal Time, or GMT-10 if you prefer. This places Bora Bora in one of the world's most remote time zones, far removed from the rhythms of most of humanity. When it's noon in Bora Bora, it's late evening in Europe, early morning tomorrow in Australia, late afternoon in New York. This temporal isolation adds to the island's sense of separation from the wider world. Time here doesn't just move slowly, it moves on its own schedule entirely. Jet lag becomes irrelevant after a day or two, because you stop thinking about what time it is back home and simply surrender to island time, where the position of the sun matters more than the numbers on a clock. Picture yourself losing track of days, forgetting what day of the week it is, measuring time instead by tides and sunsets, by when you're hungry and when you're tired. This is the gift of a remote time zone, permission to stop watching the clock. Let yourself relax even more deeply as you consider the island's remarkable safety. Bora Bora has virtually no crime. The violent crime rate is essentially zero. Petty theft is rare and usually involves tourists leaving valuables unattended on beaches. Most locals don't even lock their doors. Police presence is minimal because it's barely needed. Children play freely, tourists walk alone at night without concern, and the general atmosphere is one of trust and safety. This safety comes partly from the small population. Everyone knows everyone, and antisocial behavior would quickly become known to your neighbors, your family, your entire community. It comes partly from Polynesian culture, which values hospitality and harmony. And it comes partly from the contentment that seems to permeate island life. When you live in paradise, surrounded by beauty, with your basic needs met, what reason is there for crime? Picture yourself walking the beach road at midnight, nothing but starlight and the sound of gentle waves, feeling safer than you've felt anywhere else in your life. Now let your mind drift to the most unique encounter Bora Bora offers its visitors. In the shallow waters of the lagoon, operators conduct shark and stingray feeding experiences that allow people to stand waist-deep in crystal water surrounded by these magnificent creatures. The stingrays glide past, their wings rippling gracefully, sometimes brushing against your legs like underwater puppies seeking attention. The blacktip reef sharks circle nearby, sleek and curious but utterly non-threatening. Guides explain the behavior of these animals, dispelling fears, teaching respect and wonder. Visitors who arrive terrified of sharks leave in love with them, having touched their rough skin, looked into their dark eyes, and understood that these are not monsters but simply fish, perfectly adapted to their environment, uninterested in humans except as a source of dropped food. Picture yourself standing in that shallow water, surrounded by 20 stingrays, their spotted backs visible beneath the surface, feeling their smooth wings glide past your calves, and feeling not fear but joy, connection, wonder at sharing space with these ancient creatures in their home. Feel the rhythm of island life now as we explore Bora Bora's greatest annual celebration. Each July, the island comes alive with Heva, a massive cultural festival that celebrates Polynesian heritage through dance, music, sports, and competition. For weeks, the sound of drums echoes across the lagoon as dance groups practice for hours each day. Traditional sports competitions test strength and skill: stone lifting, coconut husking races, javelin throwing, outrigger canoe racing. But the heart of Heva is the dance performances. Groups from different islands compete, their dancers in elaborate costumes of feathers, shells, and woven plants, their choreography telling ancient stories through precise movements. The best performers have trained all year, their stamina and skill extraordinary. Hotels host special Haver events for tourists, but the real celebration happens in the community, where locals gather to cheer their teams, where pride in Polynesian culture blazes bright. Imagine those July nights, drums pounding under the stars, dancers moving in perfect synchronization. The entire island united in celebration of who they are and where they come from. Now drift upward, leaving the lagoon behind, rising into the air above Bora Bora. Helicopter tours offer a perspective impossible to achieve from sea level, and from above, Bora Bora reveals its most stunning secret. The lagoon, when viewed from several hundred feet up, forms a shape remarkably similar to a heart. The curves of the barrier reef, the position of the motors, the main island nestled in the center, all of it combines to create this heart shape. It's not perfect, not drawn with a compass, but the resemblance is unmistakable and adds yet another layer to Bora Bora's reputation as the island of romance. From this height, you can see the full spectrum of blue in the lagoon, can understand the geography perfectly, can see where channels cut through the reef and how the motors are distributed around the perimeter. The helicopter rides are brief. The island is small enough to see entirely in 15 minutes, but those 15 minutes offer views you'll never forget. Picture yourself in that helicopter, banking around Mount Otamanu, seeing the heart-shaped lagoon spread beneath you, understanding why people call this place heaven on earth. Let your breathing slow even more as you count the island's outer ring. Bora Bora is surrounded by approximately 15 motors of varying sizes, each one a small island of sand and palm trees resting on the barrier reef. Some are tiny, barely large enough for a dozen palm trees. Others stretch for a mile or more, substantial enough for resort development or small communities. Each motu has its own character. Some face the open ocean, receiving the full force of Pacific waves on their outer beaches while remaining calm on their inner shores. Others nestle in calmer sections of the reef, surrounded by shallow turquoise water on all sides. A few are privately owned, others are accessible by boat for picnics and exploration. These motus create a constellation around the main island, each one a potential adventure, a secret beach, a place to feel like a castaway for an afternoon. Imagine chartering a small boat and visiting 3 or 4 motus in a day, finding your own private beach on each one, collecting shells, snorkeling, then moving on to the next, feeling like an explorer discovering new lands. Now travel back through history to 1777, when European eyes first witnessed Bora Bora's beauty. Captain James Cook, the famous British explorer who mapped much of the Pacific, anchored off Bora Bora during his 3rd voyage of exploration. He was not the first European to see the island. That honor belongs to Jacob Roggeveen in 1722, but Cook's detailed observations and charts brought Bora Bora into European consciousness. Cook noted the friendliness of the inhabitants, the abundance of the island, the impressive volcanic peaks. He didn't stay long, just long enough to take on supplies and make his observations. But his visit marked a turning point, the beginning of Bora Bora's connection to the wider world. Imagine that moment. Traditional sailing ships anchored in the lagoon, Polynesian canoes paddling out to meet them, 2 cultures encountering each other for the first time, neither yet knowing how much their worlds would eventually intertwine. And finally, as you drift into sleep's embrace, let your mind rest on the water itself, the constant companion of every moment on Bora Bora. The lagoon's temperature remains remarkably stable year-round, averaging around 79 degrees Fahrenheit or 26 degrees Celsius. It never gets cold, not even in the winter months. It never gets uncomfortably warm either. It exists in this perfect state of bathwater warmth, comfortable enough to stay in for hours, warm enough that you never shiver, never need a wetsuit, never hesitate before diving in. This constant temperature is part of what makes the lagoon so inviting, so central to daily life. You can swim at dawn or midnight, in January or July, and the water always welcomes you with the same gentle warmth. The temperature is maintained by the tropical sun, the shallow depth, the protective reef that keeps cold ocean currents at bay. Picture yourself floating in that perfectly warm water under a star-filled sky. The water so close to body temperature that you can barely tell where you end and the lagoon begins. Your body weightless, your mind quiet, your spirit at peace. Rest now in this timeless place, where clocks don't matter and safety is absolute. Where stingrays glide like angels and drums beat in celebration. Where helicopters reveal hearts in the water and 15 motors wait to be explored. Where Captain Cook once marveled and the lagoon welcomes you with perfect warmth. Feel yourself floating in that 79-degree water, looking up at stars unchanged since Cook saw them, hearing distant drums from Haver celebrations, utterly safe, utterly peaceful, utterly home. Let the island's perfect temperature, not too hot, not too cold, just exactly right, be the last thing you notice before sleep takes you completely. You are warm. You are safe. You are in Bora Bora, and Bora Bora holds you gently as you drift away into dreams. You are so deeply relaxed now, floating in that peaceful space where thoughts drift like clouds. Let these gentle truths about Bora Bora carry you deeper still into rest, each one a soft pillow for your wandering mind. Breathe slowly and consider where Bora Bora truly belongs in the world. While it feels like its own universe, Bora Bora is actually part of France. Not merely associated with France or governed by France, but legally French territory. French Polynesia is an overseas collectivity of France, meaning these distant islands in the Pacific are as much France as Paris or Provence, though separated by over 9,000 miles of ocean. The islanders are French citizens, they vote in French elections, they use the euro for certain transactions alongside the CFP franc, and French law applies here, though adapted for local customs and needs. This relationship provides stability, infrastructure, and connection to Europe while allowing the islands to maintain their Polynesian identity and significant autonomy. It's a unique arrangement. Paris cafes and Polynesian drums, French bureaucracy and island time, European passports and Pacific souls. Picture this blend, this bridge between two worlds, allowing Bora Bora to be both thoroughly Polynesian and officially French, two identities that somehow coexist in harmony. Let your awareness drift now to the patches of cultivated land where another essential food grows. Taro, known locally as taro, is the island's most important root vegetable, a starchy staple that has fed Polynesians for millennia. Unlike crops that grow in dry fields, taro thrives in flooded patches, small irrigated terraces where water stands several inches deep. The large, heart-shaped leaves rise above the water on thick stems, while beneath the mud, the corms grow fat and nutritious. Harvesting taro means wading into the muddy water, feeling with your feet and hands for the corms, pulling them free with a satisfying sucking sound. The corms must be cooked. They're inedible and even toxic when raw, but once boiled or baked, taro becomes creamy, slightly sweet, filling. It's mashed into poi in Hawaii, but in Tahiti, it's often served in chunks, the starchy accompaniment to fish and other proteins. These taro patches, tucked into valleys and flat areas around the island, are living links to ancient agriculture. The same crops grown the same way for over 1,000 years. Picture the deep green leaves swaying in the breeze, water glinting between the rows, a farmer wading through, tending this gift from the ancestors. Now let yourself drift on the ocean, feeling the swells beneath you, and understand how the ancient Polynesian navigators accomplished the impossible. Beyond the stars and birds we mentioned earlier, these seafaring masters read the waves themselves. Ocean swells travel thousands of miles, and when they encounter an island, they refract, bending around the land, creating interference patterns that can be detected by someone who knows what to feel. A master navigator, lying in the hull of a canoe, could feel these subtle changes in the waves, the rhythm, the direction, the way different swells interacted, and determine that land lay ahead, even when that land was still below the horizon, invisible to the eye. They could tell not just that an island was there, but roughly how far away and in which direction. This wasn't superstition or luck. It was sophisticated oceanography, learned through years of apprenticeship, refined through generations. These wave patterns are still there, still readable to those with the knowledge, still guiding any boat that knows how to listen. Imagine lying in a canoe, eyes closed, feeling the Pacific's pulse, reading stories written in water, finding your way across an ocean by touch alone. Feel the texture now beneath your fingers as we explore one of Bora Bora's most beautiful traditional crafts. The pandanus tree, called Fora in Tahitian, grows throughout the island, its stilt-like roots and spiky leaves making it unmistakable. But those long, blade-like leaves are treasure. When harvested, dried, and split into strips, pandanus leaves become the material for exquisite weaving. Skilled weavers create mats for floors and walls, baskets in countless sizes and shapes, hats that provide perfect sun protection, fans that stir the humid air, decorative pieces that adorn homes. The natural pandanus is tan or golden, but leaves can be dyed in vibrant colors, creating geometric patterns of incredible intricacy. A finely woven pandanus mat is smooth, flexible, durable. Some last for generations. The weaving happens in the shade of a fair, fingers moving with practiced speed, transforming leaves into useful beauty. At markets and shops, you'll find pandanus goods alongside the pearls and pareo, each piece representing hours of careful work, each one a small artwork of diagonal weaves and tight patterns. Picture an elderly woman weaving, her fingers barely seeming to move, yet the basket growing in her lap as if by magic, each strand finding its place in the ancient patterns her grandmother taught her. Let your eyes drift skyward now, following a bird that played a crucial role in Polynesian navigation. The frigate bird, Otaa in Tahitian, is a large seabird with a distinctive silhouette. Long, angular wings, a deeply forked tail, and in males, a bright red throat pouch they inflate during courtship. These birds are remarkable navigators themselves, ranging far over the ocean but always returning to land at night. Ancient voyagers knew this and would watch for frigate birds in the late afternoon. If you saw frigate birds flying steadily in one direction toward evening, you knew land lay that way. The birds were heading home to roost. Follow them, and you'd find an island, even if it was beyond the horizon. Today, frigate birds still soar over Bora Bora's lagoon, riding thermal currents with barely a wing flap, their silhouettes unmistakable against the blue sky. They nest in the trees of the motus, their colonies marking certain islands as special, chosen by these aerial masters. Watch a frigate bird glide overhead, its wings held in that characteristic W shape, and you're watching a living navigation tool, a compass made of feathers and instinct. Now sink beneath the surface once more, and see the coral reef in all its diverse architecture. The barrier reef isn't one thing but a community of coral types, each building its own structure. Staghorn coral branches like the antlers it's named for, creating thickets where small fish hide. Brain coral grows in massive, rounded domes, its surface covered in maze-like grooves that do indeed resemble a brain. Table coral spreads in flat platforms, providing shade for fish below. Finger coral reaches upward like hands from the sea floor. Lettuce coral ruffles in sheets and folds. Each type of coral is actually a colony of thousands of tiny polyps, each one an individual animal, all working together to build these calcium carbonate structures. And living within the coral tissue are microscopic algae called zooxanthellae, which photosynthesize and share nutrients with their coral hosts, a partnership that makes the whole reef possible. The diversity of coral types creates diversity of habitat, and habitat diversity creates the incredible abundance of life you see while snorkeling. Without the variety of coral, the lagoon would be far poorer. Picture this underwater city, these skyscrapers and houses and mazes all built by creatures smaller than your fingernail. A metropolis constructed one polyp at a time over millennia. Feel yourself growing heavy now, ready for the deepest sleep, and turn your face upward to the night sky above Bora Bora. With no cities nearby, no industrial light pollution, no smog or haze, the stars here shine with a brilliance most modern people have never witnessed. The Milky Way isn't a faint smudge but a glowing river across the sky, so bright it casts shadows. You can see thousands upon thousands of stars, the sky more light than darkness, constellations crisp and clear. The Southern Cross hangs in the sky, the constellation that guided so many voyages. Planets are brilliant points of steady light. Shooting stars streak past regularly. On moonless nights, the starlight alone is enough to walk by, enough to see the white sand beach glowing faintly beneath the stellar display. Ancient Polynesians used these stars as their map, memorizing the rising and setting points of dozens of stars throughout the year, using them to maintain course across thousands of miles of open ocean. Those same stars still shine above Bora Bora, unchanged, eternal, waiting for anyone who takes the time to lie on the beach and look up. Imagine yourself on that beach at midnight, sand still warm from the day's sun, lagoon whispering nearby, your eyes adjusting until you can see not hundreds but thousands of stars, understanding why the ancients believed they could read their destiny written in that celestial script. And finally, as sleep's deepest embrace draws near, consider one more traditional art that keeps ancient culture alive. Wood carving, particularly the carving of tikis, requires both skill and spiritual understanding. Carvers select wood carefully, often from sacred trees, asking permission before cutting. The wood is shaped using traditional tools, or modern tools following traditional patterns, into the stylized human forms we recognize as tikis. Squared heads, broad noses, grimacing mouths, sometimes with hands on belly. Each tiki represents a god or ancestor. Each one has meaning and power. Some are small, suitable for homes. Others are massive, standing as tall as a person, meant to guard important places. The carving takes days or weeks, each cut deliberate, each line part of a sacred geometry passed down through generations. Beyond tikis, carvers create bowls, weapons for ceremony, paddles for canoes, decorative panels, each piece connecting the present to the past. In shops around Bedtime, you'll find these carvings for sale, though the most powerful ones, the truly sacred ones, are not for tourists but remain in local homes and marae, still doing their protective work. Picture the carver in his workshop, the smell of fresh wood, chips falling at his feet, the tiki slowly emerging from the blank wood, its face stern and protective, a guardian being born through patient work and ancient knowledge. Rest now in this woven world, legally French but spiritually Polynesian, fed by taro growing in flooded earth, guided by waves and frigate birds, crafted from pandanus leaves and sacred wood, sheltered by reefs of diverse coral, blessed with stars so bright they illuminate the night, connected through every craft and tradition to ancestors who first settled these shores. Feel yourself lying on that beach under impossible stars, a pandanus mat beneath you, a carved tiki watching over you, frigate birds roosting in nearby trees, taro growing in the valley behind you, the coral reef pulsing with quiet life just offshore. Everything is connected. Everything is ancient and new at once. Everything is exactly as it should be. Let these gentle truths be the last thoughts that drift through your peaceful mind before sleep takes you completely into its soft, dark embrace. You are at the edge of sleep now, barely conscious, your mind a quiet lagoon reflecting starlight. Let these final whispers from Bora Bora guide you across that threshold into the deep waters of dreams. Open your inner eye now and see them. The dolphins that visit Bora Bora's waters with joyful regularity. Spinner dolphins, named for their habit of leaping from the water and spinning like tops in midair, travel in pods through the passages between the motus. Bottlenose dolphins, intelligent and curious, sometimes approach boats and swimmers. These are wild dolphins, not captive performers, and their visits are gifts, not guarantees. But many mornings, if you're on the water early, you might see them. Dark shapes arcing through the waves beyond the reef, or sometimes, on blessed days, right in the lagoon itself, hunting fish in the shallows, playing in the wake of boats. They seem to embody pure joy, their aerial spins and leaps serving no purpose but delight. Some believe dolphins are the reincarnated souls of ancient chiefs, returning to check on their people. Whether you believe that or not, there's something undeniably magical about sharing water with these beings, whose brains rival ours in complexity, whose songs travel for miles underwater, whose playfulness reminds us that joy is not a human invention. Picture yourself on a morning boat ride, the sun just risen, and suddenly the water erupts with dolphins, 20 of them, spinning and splashing, racing alongside your boat as if to say welcome, welcome to our home. Feel now the weight of flowers on your head, the gentle pressure of a traditional crown. The hay, pronounced hay, is a crown or wreath of flowers worn on special occasions throughout Polynesia. Unlike the lei worn around the neck, the hay circles the head like a living crown. Making a hay is an art, selecting flowers at their peak, arranging colors and types thoughtfully, binding them to a woven base so they sit securely. Tiara flowers are popular, but hibiscus, orchids, frangipani, and countless other blooms find their way into these crowns. At weddings, celebrations, welcoming ceremonies, you'll see hay adorning heads, the flowers fresh and fragrant, their colors vivid against dark hair. There's something both regal and innocent about wearing flowers on your head, something that makes you slow down, move more gracefully, smile more readily. Children wear hay too, tiny crowns for tiny heads, everyone equally adorned. The flowers last only hours before wilting, but that impermanence is part of their beauty. They're meant for this moment, this celebration, not forever. Picture a young woman at her wedding, her head crowned with white tiara and pink hibiscus, flowers trembling with each movement, perfume surrounding her like an invisible blessing, beauty that will fade by evening but live forever in memory. Let your skin absorb now the island's most treasured beauty treatment. Monoi oil, pronounced monoi, is the signature product of French Polynesia, and its creation is simplicity itself yet profoundly sophisticated. Fresh tiara flowers are picked in the morning and steeped in pure coconut oil. The flowers release their fragrance into the oil, creating a scent that captures the very essence of the islands. After several days of steeping, the flowers are removed and new ones added, the process repeated until the oil is saturated with tiara perfume. The resulting monoi is used for everything: moisturizing skin and hair, massage, sun protection, healing burns and scrapes, simply making yourself smell like paradise. In the hot sun, monoi melts into liquid. In air conditioning, it solidifies to a soft butter. Traditional monoi has been made this way for centuries, though now it's also commercially produced and sold in beautiful bottles as gifts and souvenirs. But the best monoi is still homemade, grandmother's recipes, oil kept in a plastic bottle under the sink, smelling exactly as it has for generations. Imagine smoothing this oil on your sun-warmed skin, the scent of tea rising, your skin glowing, feeling pampered by the same treatment Polynesian queens used centuries ago. Beauty made from two simple ingredients, coconuts and flowers. Now let your hearing drift to the heartbeat of Polynesia, the drums that have pounded out rhythms for over 1,000 years. The pahu is the traditional Tahitian drum, carved from a single piece of wood, often breadfruit or coconut palm, and covered with sharkskin stretched tight over one end. The drummer strikes the sharkskin with the palm or fingers, creating deep, resonant tones that seem to vibrate in your chest. Smaller drums, called tor, are made from hollowed logs and struck with sticks, creating higher, sharper notes. Together, these drums create rhythms of incredible complexity, polyrhythms that layer upon each other like waves on the ocean. The fastest rhythms are called ote, driving the rapid hip movements of the dancers. Slower rhythms accompany storytelling and chants. The drums are not just instruments but sacred objects, some carved with tikis, all treated with respect. A skilled drummer can make a pahu talk, varying the tone by striking different parts of the head, changing the pitch with pressure from the opposite hand. At night, lying in your overwater bungalow, you might hear distant drums from a resort show or village celebration. The sound carrying across the water, ancient and primal, making your pulse quicken, calling to something deep in your DNA that remembers dancing around fires under stars. Let that rhythm sink into your consciousness now. Boom boom tap, the heartbeat of the islands, the pulse of centuries. Drift back now to the beginning, to the creation of this island in the minds and hearts of its people. Polynesian mythology tells that the islands were pulled from the ocean by the demigod Maui, using a magical fishhook. Maui, one of the greatest heroes of Polynesian legend, performed many feats, slowing the sun, stealing fire, capturing the secret of death. But one of his most important acts was fishing up the islands from the sea floor, giving humanity these places to live. Different islands have different versions of the story, but all involve Maui's strength, cunning, and divine assistance. When you look at the volcanic peaks of Bora Bora rising from the endless ocean, the mythology feels true in a way facts cannot match. How else would islands exist here, thousands of miles from any continent, unless someone powerful had pulled them up from the depths? The ancient Polynesians, who had no knowledge of plate tectonics or volcanic hotspots, understood in their own way that these islands were special, born from power, meant to be home. Every rock, every mountain, every beach carries the memory of that creation, whether by gods or geology, or perhaps both at once. Picture Maui standing on the ocean, his magical hook plunging deep, pulling with all his divine strength, and the island slowly rising. First the peak breaking the surface, then the slopes emerging, water cascading off the new land, steam rising where hot rock meets cool ocean, until finally an island stands where only water had been before. Let yourself feel now the invisible force that Polynesians believe flows through all things. Mana is spiritual power, life force, divine energy. Every person has mana, but some have more than others. Chiefs, priests, great warriors, skilled artists all possess strong mana. Places can have mana too. The ancient marae are thick with it. Certain beaches or mountain peaks hold it. Some trees or rocks contain it. Mana can be gained through deeds, through ancestral lineage, through blessings from the gods or from elders. It can also be lost through improper behavior, broken taboos, or defeat. Even objects can carry mana, a carved tiki, a sacred canoe, a chief's weapon. When Polynesians say someone has mana, they mean that person radiates power, commands respect naturally, possesses that indefinable quality we might call charisma, but which is really something deeper, more spiritual. The entire island of Bora Bora has mana. You can feel it in the power of the landscape, the intensity of the colors, the way the place affects everyone who visits. People leave changed, touched by something they can't quite name. That's mana, the spiritual electricity that runs through this place like current through water. Feel it now, this energy, surrounding you, holding you, blessing you as you drift towards sleep. Bring your awareness now to the streams that run down from the mountains after rain. Bora Bora's volcanic peaks catch moisture from the trade wind clouds, and that rain seeps through the porous volcanic rock, emerging as small streams and springs that flow toward the lagoon. These freshwater sources were crucial to the ancient inhabitants, providing drinking water long before wells or desalination. The streams still flow today, creating small waterfalls in the jungle, pools where you can swim in fresh water before walking a few steps to swim in salt water. The main island has no significant river, it's too small. But these streams and springs provide enough water for the population, supplemented now by wells and rainwater collection. Some of the water emerges right at the edge of the lagoon, fresh water bubbling up through salt water, creating unusual mixing zones where certain fish and plants thrive. The mountains are the island's water tower, the rain its delivery system, the streams its veins. Without these flows from the peaks, Bora Bora would be much harder to inhabit. The volcanic soil would be too dry, life would be more difficult. But the mountains provide, as they have for 16 centuries, water flowing down to nurture the living things below. Picture a small waterfall hidden in the green jungle, water tumbling over black volcanic rock into a clear pool, ferns growing thick around it, the sound of falling water mixing with birdsong, a secret place where you can drink from the mountain itself. And finally, as you surrender completely to sleep, understand how knowledge survives on this island. Bora Bora's history, culture, and traditions were not written in books but lived in memory, passed from elder to younger through oral tradition. Storytellers memorized epic tales of gods, ancestors, voyages, and heroes, reciting them word-perfect across generations. Navigation knowledge, star paths, wave patterns, all memorized, nothing written down. The techniques for building canoes, for carving tikis, for preparing medicines, for conducting ceremonies, all taught by demonstration and practice, knowledge embodied rather than inscribed. Even today, though modern education includes reading and writing, the old ones still teach the old way. By telling stories, by showing, by having the young ones practice until their hands know what to do without thinking. Genealogies stretch back dozens of generations, entire family trees held in memory. Songs contain coded information about places and events. Every elder who dies takes a library with them, and so the young must learn, must listen, must remember. This oral tradition keeps the culture alive, flexible, adapting to each generation while maintaining its essential core. It means that culture is not something you read about but something you participate in, not data to be stored but wisdom to be lived. Picture an elder and a young person sitting together in the shade of a breadfruit tree, the elder's voice rising and falling as the story unfolds, the young person absorbing not just words but tone, gesture, spirit, becoming the next link in a chain of memory that stretches back to the first canoes that landed on these shores. Let that image be your last waking thought. The endless chain of voices, speaking into the darkness, keeping the light of memory alive, generation after generation, as constant as the waves, as enduring as the stars. Rest now in this complete understanding. Dolphins spinning in morning light, flowers crowning every head, monoi oil blessing every skin, drums speaking in the ancient language of rhythm, islands pulled from the sea by divine hands, mana flowing through all things, fresh water descending from the peaks, and stories told in the shade, preserving everything that matters. You are part of this now, connected through these 10 segments to the living heart of Bora Bora. The island has shared its secrets with you, and in return, it asks only that you rest, that you let go, that you drift now into the deepest, most peaceful sleep, cradled by the knowledge of this place, blessed by its mana, held in its stories, floating on its waters, dreaming its dreams. Sleep is so close now, your consciousness like moonlight on water, soft and diffused. Let these gentle truths carry you the final distance, into the arms of deepest rest. Listen now to the church bells ringing across the lagoon on Sunday morning, their sound carrying on the warm breeze. Christianity came to Bora Bora in the early 1800s, brought by missionaries from the London Missionary Society. The Polynesians, who had lived with their ancient gods for over a millennium, embraced this new faith with characteristic openness, blending it with their traditional beliefs in ways both subtle and profound. Today, churches stand in every village, their steeples often the tallest structures on the island, painted in bright whites and pastels. Sunday is sacred here, shops close, work stops, families dress in their finest perios and white shirts to attend services that blend Christian hymns with Polynesian harmonies, creating music that sounds like angels singing in Tahitian. The church is not just a place of worship but the center of community life, where weddings happen, where funerals gather everyone together, where decisions are discussed, where the week's rhythm finds its anchor. The fusion of Christianity and Polynesian culture has created something unique, a faith expressed through traditional music, dance, and community values, where Jesus and the ancestors somehow coexist, where grace is offered with the same generosity as a flower lei. Picture those Sunday mornings, the bell tolling, families walking along the coastal road in their best clothes, voices raised in hymns that sound like waves and wind, faith and tradition woven together like strands in a pandanus basket. Feel now the smooth, cool surface of mother of pearl beneath your fingers. The inside of the black-lipped oyster that produces those famous black pearls is itself a treasure. A lining of iridescent nacre that shimmers with rainbow colors, shifting from silver to pink to green to blue as you turn it in the light. For centuries, Polynesians have used this mother of pearl for decoration and tools. Before metal was available, they fashioned fishhooks from it, and cutting tools and ornaments. Today, artisans carve it into jewelry, pendants, earrings, rings, each piece catching light like captured moonlight. They also inlay it into wood carvings, creating patterns that glow against dark wood. The best pieces use the natural curve and color variations of the shell, working with what nature provides rather than forcing it into unnatural shapes. Some craftspeople create scenes entirely in mother of pearl. Dolphins, waves, flowers, tikis, all assembled from carefully cut and shaped pieces of shell. These are not cheap souvenirs but real art. Hours of patient work transforming what the oyster left behind into wearable beauty. Imagine a pendant around your neck, mother of pearl cool against your skin, catching the sun as you move, each flash of color a memory of the lagoon, of the oyster that built this beauty layer by microscopic layer in the dark water. Let that cool smoothness against your skin be the last sensation before sleep. Now drift back through time to ancient evenings when fishermen prepared for the night's work. Traditional night fishing used fire to attract fish. flaming torches made from dried coconut fronds bound together and soaked in coconut oil. The fishermen would stand in the shallows or paddle slowly in canoes, holding these torches above the water. Fish, curious about the light or attracted to the small creatures drawn to the flames, would swim close. Then the spearing would begin, or nets would be cast, the torchlight illuminating the clear water, making the fish visible and vulnerable. This method is still practiced occasionally, more for tradition and tourism than necessity, but you might see it on special nights. Torches reflecting in the dark lagoon like fallen stars, their light dancing on the water, the ancient technique still working after centuries. The fish caught this way, parrotfish, grouper, surgeonfish, would be brought home for the ahimare or simply grilled over coals, feeding families just as this method fed their great-great-grandparents 100 generations ago. Picture that scene: darkness over the lagoon, a torch's golden light creating a circle of visibility in the black water, silver fish flashing through the illuminated space, a spear striking quick and sure, the night providing abundance for those who know how to ask. Let the image of those torches on dark water guide you deeper into the night of your own rest. Let your taste buds now experience something unexpected. The Fay, mountain banana, grows wild on Bora Bora slopes, and unlike the yellow bananas you know, these are orange or red when ripe, and must be cooked before eating. Smaller and denser than commercial bananas, Fay have been a staple food for centuries. They're roasted, baked, or boiled, their flesh turning golden and slightly sweet but starchier than regular bananas, more like plantain. The trees grow in the interior valleys, their large leaves catching rain, their fruit clusters hanging heavy. Traditionally, Fay was an important food during times when fishing was poor or when other crops failed, the reliable backup always available. Today, you'll sometimes find Fay served at traditional feasts, a taste of old Polynesia, a flavor that connects modern Bora Borans to their ancestors. Some locals still harvest Fay from the wild trees, preferring its unique taste to the imported yellow bananas, honoring the plant that sustained their people through countless generations. Imagine the taste: slightly sweet, slightly tangy, the texture firm, the color surprising, each bite a conversation with history, with the mountains that grew these generous trees. Breathe deeply now and absorb the island's most essential philosophy, 3 Tahitian words that define a way of being. Aita pp, pronounced Aitar Payar Payar, means roughly no worries, but it's so much more than that. It's an entire worldview, an approach to life that says things will work out, that stress serves no purpose, that worrying about tomorrow steals joy from today. Problems arise? Aita pp, they'll be solved, or they won't. But worry doesn't help. Plans change? Aita pp, the new plan might be even better. Things don't arrive on time, don't work perfectly, don't match your expectations. Aita pp, you're in paradise. What does it matter? This isn't laziness or irresponsibility. It's a profound understanding that life is better lived with ease than with tension, that the islands have provided for their people for 16 centuries and will continue to do so, that the reef and the ocean and the breadfruit trees don't worry, so why should humans? Visitors sometimes find this frustrating at first. Things happen on island time, schedules are flexible, urgency is rare. But after a few days, the attitude seeps in, your shoulders drop, your jaw unclenches, and suddenly you understand. Aita pp isn't about not caring, it's about not carrying unnecessary weight. Let these words sink into your consciousness now like monoi oil into sun-warmed skin. Aita pp, no worries, everything is as it should be. Release your grip, let go, just let go. Now open your heart to understand how family works on Bora Bora, and it's nothing like the nuclear families of modern Western life. Here, Everyone is family. Your cousin's children are your children too. Your aunt is as much your mother as your birth mother. Uncles are fathers, older cousins are brothers and sisters. Family extends in concentric circles until the whole island becomes one vast, interconnected family tree. Children often grow up in the homes of relatives, a practice called whāremu, a form of open adoption where a child might live with grandparents or aunts while maintaining full relationship with birth parents. There's no stigma, no sense of abandonment. It's simply how families work, sharing children, sharing resources, sharing responsibility. A child might have 4 or 5 houses they call home, sleeping in one, eating in another, learning skills in a third. This extended family structure means no child is ever truly orphaned, no elder ever truly alone, no burden falls on just 2 shoulders. The whole village raises the children, celebrates the successes, mourns the losses together. When you meet someone on Bora Bora, they might introduce you to their sister who is actually their cousin, their mother who is actually their aunt. Because the titles don't reflect biology but relationship, love, responsibility. In this system, you can never be truly alone. You're held in a web of connection, supported by a village, part of something vast and warm and unconditionally accepting. Picture a child running between houses, welcomed at each one, fed at any table, scolded with equal authority by any elder, loved by every adult as if their own, growing up not with parents but with a village, never having to wonder if they belong because belonging is automatic, woven into the very structure of daily life. Let yourself drift now through geological time and contemplate the extraordinary patience required to build what surrounds you. The barrier reef you've been hearing about throughout these segments didn't appear overnight or even over centuries. Coral grows slowly. Healthy coral might add a few centimeters per year at best, some types much slower. The reef that now encircles Bora Bora has been growing for thousands of years, possibly tens of thousands, building itself upward as the volcanic island slowly subsided beneath it. Each coral polyp adds its tiny calcium carbonate skeleton to the structure. Generation after generation, the reef growing at a pace that makes trees look like sprinters. Think about that. This reef that protects the lagoon, that creates the perfect conditions for the island's existence, that supports thousands of species and defines Bora Bora's very shape. It's been under construction for longer than human civilization has existed. The pyramids of Egypt are ancient. The reef laughs at such youth. Some of the coral formations you swim past might have begun growing before Christ walked the earth, before Rome was built, before the Polynesians arrived, steadily adding layers, surviving storms and changes in sea level and shifts in ocean chemistry, just growing, patiently growing, building the foundation of paradise one microscopic layer at a time. This perspective should slow your breathing, slow your thoughts. In the presence of such patience, such slow and steady work, your own urgency seems absurd. Let the reef's patience teach you. Let its steady, unrushing growth be a meditation. Feel your own breath slowing to match that ancient rhythm. Grow, pause, building layer by layer something that will outlast you, that serves a purpose beyond yourself, that asks nothing but time. And finally, as the last conscious thoughts flicker like candle flames in wind, turn your attention upward to the stars once more and understand the sophisticated tool ancient navigators used. The star compass wasn't a physical object but a mental construct, a way of organizing the night sky into a navigational tool. Imagine the horizon divided into 32 houses, points where specific stars rise and set throughout the year. A master navigator memorized which stars rose and set in which houses, and when. By knowing which stars were rising and setting at any given time of year, they could maintain a bearing across thousands of miles of open ocean. They visualized themselves at the center of a circle, the star houses arranged around them, and they'd steer toward the house where a particular star would rise, or keep a setting star in a specific house behind them. This star compass was held entirely in memory, passed from master to apprentice over years of training. No charts, no instruments, no backup, just the human mind and the eternal stars working together. Today, in places like Hawaii, traditional navigation schools have revived these techniques, young Polynesians learning to use the star compass their ancestors used, sailing between islands without GPS or modern tools, proving the old ways still work, that this knowledge was never superstition but sophisticated science. Picture yourself in a canoe on the open ocean, no land in sight, the stars wheeling overhead in their eternal dance, and you knowing exactly where you are, exactly where you're going, reading your position from light that left distant suns years ago, traveling by starlight, guided by knowledge held only in your mind. Let that image be your final waking thought. Sailing by starlight, navigating by memory, trusting in ancient knowledge, heading home across dark water toward an island you cannot yet see but know is there. Know with absolute certainty is there, guided by stars, held by the ocean, safe in the vast Pacific night. Rest now in this deep understanding. Church bells calling across the lagoon, mother of pearl cool against skin, torches burning on dark water, mountain bananas feeding the faithful, no worries carried into tomorrow, family extending to embrace everyone, reefs growing with patience beyond comprehension, and stars showing the way home. You are held by all of this, by community, by patience, by starlight, by the slow work of coral and the quick generosity of extended family. Everything is connected. Everything moves at the right pace. Everything, including you, is exactly where it needs to be. A to PP. No worries. Let go completely now. The island holds you. The reef protects you. The stars guide you. Sleep. You are in the deepest waters of sleep now, barely aware, consciousness reduced to the faintest glimmer. Let these last gentle truths wash over you like the softest waves, carrying you to complete rest. Breathe easily now, knowing that Bora Bora rests in a blessed pocket of the Pacific. While the region does experience a cyclone season from November through April, Bora Bora itself is rarely struck by these massive storms. The island sits just far enough south of the main cyclone belt that most storms pass to the north. When cyclones do threaten, they typically weaken before reaching this latitude, or veer away on tracks that spare the island. In over a century of record-keeping, only a handful of significant cyclones have directly hit Bora Bora, and the barrier reef provides additional protection, breaking up storm surge before it reaches the main island. This relative safety is part of what makes Bora Bora so consistently beautiful. The coral reefs aren't regularly destroyed by storms. The palm trees grow tall and mature, the beaches remain stable. Even during the wet season, when storms brew elsewhere in the Pacific, Bora Bora often sees only the gentle rains and passing squalls at the edges of weather systems. The island exists in a protective bubble, blessed by geography and latitude, spared from the worst fury the Pacific can summon. Picture yourself sleeping through a tropical night, a gentle rain falling on the roof, knowing that even the storms here are soft, that the island is held safe, that nature protects what it has created. Let that safety sink deep into your bones. You are sheltered here, protected, held in a place where even the weather is gentle most days of the year. Now watch as the outrigger canoe takes shape beneath skilled hands. Traditional VAA building is a sacred craft, passed from master builder to apprentice over years of training. The hull must be carved from a single log, traditionally breadfruit or tamanu wood, selected carefully for its size, straightness, and spirit. The log is hollowed using adzes and fire, the builder constantly checking the thickness of the walls by pressing and feeling, knowing by touch and sound when it's right. The outrigger, the float that provides stability, is shaped from lighter wood and connected to the hull by curved wooden arms lashed with coconut fiber rope. Every measurement is done by eye and feel, no rulers or plans. The builder carrying the proportions in his memory, his hands knowing the curves. The result is a vessel perfectly balanced, responsive to the slightest shift of weight, fast enough to race, stable enough to fish from, beautiful in its simplicity. Modern VAA are often made from fiberglass now, but traditional wooden canoes are still built for ceremonies and for those who want to maintain the connection to ancestral ways. The building itself is ceremony. Prayers are offered before cutting the tree, offerings made to ensure the canoe's safety, the wood shaped with respect and gratitude. Picture the builder in his workshop, surrounded by curling wood shavings, the smell of cut timber and sea air, his hands moving with certainty born from generations of accumulated knowledge, the canoe emerging from the log like a butterfly from a cocoon, something that was always inside the wood, just waiting for skilled hands to reveal it. Let the morning light now wake you gently in your mind's eye, and follow the islanders to the heart of daily commerce. The Bedtime market comes alive early, vendors arriving before dawn to set up their stalls. By the time most tourists wake, the market is already bustling with locals buying the day's provisions. Fresh fish caught hours earlier lie on ice, their scales still gleaming. Fruits are piled in colorful pyramids: breadfruit, papaya, pamplemousse, giant grapefruit, mangoes in season. Vegetables grown in small gardens: tomatoes, cucumbers, lettuce. Women sell prepared foods: poisson cru in plastic containers, baked goods, coconut sweets. There's a social rhythm to the market beyond simple commerce. Neighbors greet each other, news is exchanged, children run between stalls, older women sit and chat while selling their wares. The market is also where local crafts appear: woven baskets, carved tikis, perios, vanilla beans, black pearls. By mid-morning, the market quiets, the best items are sold, people return home to cook, the heat builds. The market will sleep through the afternoon like everything else on the island, but for those early hours, it's the vibrant heart of Bora Bora, where the island feeds itself, where community is reinforced through the simple act of buying and selling, where the day's rhythm is established. Imagine walking through in the early light, the vendors calling softly, the smell of fresh fish and ripe fruit, the feel of a perfectly ripe papaya in your hand, still cool from the night, choosing your breakfast from what the lagoon and land provided that very morning. This is how life should be lived, connected to food source, knowing the hands that caught the fish or grew the fruit, eating what the island offers in its season. Feel yourself drifting deeper now, down to the lagoon floor, to meet one of its most majestic residents. The Napoleon wrasse, called Maori wrasse locally, is a fish of remarkable size and intelligence. These giants can grow over 6 feet long and live for 30 years or more. The adults develop a distinctive humped forehead that gives them their name, and they display colors that shift from blue-green to purple depending on mood and light. But what makes them special is their personality. Napoleon wrasse are curious and fearless around humans, often approaching divers and snorkelers with what appears to be friendly interest. Some individuals become so familiar with dive sites that guides know them by name, their personalities as distinct as any pet. These fish have learned that divers mean no harm and sometimes even bring treats. They'll pose for photos, swim alongside you, look you directly in the eye with unmistakable intelligence. Conservation efforts protect them now. They're vulnerable to overfishing, but in Bora Bora's lagoon, several resident Napoleon wrasse have become beloved celebrities, ambassadors for their species. Meeting one is like encountering a gentle giant, a being so clearly aware and present that the line between human and fish blurs. Picture one gliding toward you, massive and graceful, its colors shifting in the sunlight filtering through water, those intelligent eyes regarding you with what feels like recognition, friendship even. Let that feeling of connection with another species, another form of intelligence, relax you further. You're not alone in consciousness, not the only aware being. The lagoon is full of minds, full of awareness, and they welcome you. Let your ears now detect sounds beyond the drums. The vivo, the nose flute, produces some of Polynesia's most haunting music. Unlike the flutes you know, which are played with the mouth, the vivo is held against one nostril while the other is closed, and the breath from the nose produces the sound. The resulting music is breathy, intimate, almost human in quality, like someone singing wordlessly. Traditionally, the vivo was used for courting. A young man would play beneath his beloved's window, the soft, private sound carrying just far enough to be heard by one person. The melodies are simple, plaintive, filled with longing. Today, vivo players are rare, the art nearly lost, but a few masters remain, and their playing can transport you to another time, another world. There's something deeply personal about music made from breath alone, from air passing through the passages of the nose, emerging as sound. It's as if the player is sharing their very breath with you, their life force made audible. At cultural performances, if you're lucky, you might hear a vivo solo, its quiet sound almost lost under the drums and singing. But there, a thread of ancient yearning woven through the more bombastic sounds. Let that breathy, intimate music drift through your consciousness now, a lullaby played on breath alone, someone's life force transformed into song, calling across distance, across time, saying come here, stay here, be here with me in this moment. Understand now how age is revered on this island, how wisdom and years are honored in ways modern societies have forgotten. Elders, the tumu, the roots and foundation, are treated with profound respect. Their words carry weight in family decisions, village matters, cultural questions. When an elder speaks, younger people listen without interruption. Elders are consulted before major decisions are made, their experience valued as the treasure it is. They are the keepers of tradition, the ones who remember how things have always been done, who can trace genealogies back through the centuries, who know the old stories in their complete versions, who remember when the first tourists arrived, when the first resort opened, when electricity came, when life was different but perhaps not better. A family's prestige is partly measured by the wisdom and dignity of its elders. When an elder dies, the entire community mourns, for a library has been lost, a connection to the past has been severed. The young care for their elders not as obligation but as privilege, as honor. Grandparents often raise grandchildren while parents work, the oldest and youngest generations spending days together, wisdom and innocence learning from each other. Elders don't retire to nursing homes to live separately. They remain in their homes, in their villages, surrounded by family, useful and valued until their last breath. Picture an ancient woman sitting in the shade of her fair, her skin deeply wrinkled, her hands moving slowly through a weaving project she's made 1,000 times before, children playing at her feet, her adult children consulting her about family matters, her great-grandchildren learning from her simply by being near her. She is not waiting to die but fully living, her age not a diminishment but an elevation, her years not subtraction but accumulation. In her presence, everyone slows down, speaks more thoughtfully, acts with more consideration. She is the root that grounds the tree. Let her quiet presence calm you, the wisdom of years, the patience of decades, the understanding that comes only from surviving every season multiple times and seeing the patterns repeat. Feel now the traditional greeting of Polynesia, a gesture of connection and respect. The honji, or the similar Tahitian practice of touching cheeks and inhaling, is how people greet each other in more formal or emotional situations. You press your forehead and nose against another's forehead and nose, close your eyes, and breathe in together. This shared breath is the sharing of Ha, the breath of life, the spirit essence. It's more intimate than a handshake, more meaningful than a hug, because you're literally sharing life force with the other person. This greeting says, I honor your spirit, I acknowledge our connection, I breathe with you. At welcoming ceremonies, at farewells, at moments of importance, you'll see this greeting, sometimes followed by the touching of cheeks and a kiss on each side. There's no rushing through it. The moment is held, the shared breath honored. Western handshakes and casual hugs have partly replaced this greeting in daily life, but it persists in important moments, a reminder that greeting someone should be more than casual acknowledgement, should be a moment of genuine connection and recognition. Imagine being greeted this way after a long journey, someone pressing their forehead to yours, breathing with you, silently saying welcome home. You are one of us now, we share this breath, this life. Let that image comfort you, the possibility of connection so profound it's literally shared breath. Two people breathing as one for a moment, all barriers dissolved in that simple, intimate act. And finally, as consciousness fades to almost nothing, understand the gift the trade winds bring. These steady breezes blow from the east-northeast almost year-round, powered by the Pacific high-pressure systems. They arrive cool from their journey across thousands of miles of ocean, carrying moisture that becomes the clouds that crown Mount Otamanu, bringing relief from the tropical heat. Without the trade winds, Bora Bora would be unbearably hot and humid. With them, the island remains comfortable even in the warmest months. The breeze constant enough that you forget it's there until it pauses for a moment and the stillness feels strange. The trade winds fill the sails of catamarans, bend the palm trees into their characteristic curves, create the perfect conditions for windsurfing and kiteboarding, carry the scent of tiar flowers across the lagoon, dry the laundry hung on lines, cool your skin as you drift towards sleep in your open-air fare. These winds have blown for millennia, the same winds that filled the sails of the first Polynesian voyagers, the winds that define this climate, that make life here not just possible but pleasant. They're so reliable that weather reports rarely mention them. They're simply assumed, the default condition, the breathing of the Pacific itself. Feel that breeze now across your sleeping body, constant and gentle, neither too strong nor too weak, just perfectly present. A reminder that even the air is kind here, that even the wind cares for your comfort. Let the trade winds carry away your last thoughts, your final tensions, any remaining grip on waking consciousness. Let them blow through your mind, clearing out worries like they clear clouds from the sky, leaving only emptiness, peace, the vast blue openness of perfect rest. Sleep now completely, held by safety from storms, shaped by the knowledge of canoe builders, nourished by morning markets, befriended by intelligent fish, serenaded by nose flutes, blessed by elders, greeted with shared breath, and cooled by eternal winds. Everything conspires for your comfort. Everything works toward your peace. The island has told you all it needs to tell you, shown you all you need to see. Now it simply holds you, as it has held its people for 16 centuries, as it will continue to hold all who come seeking rest. 8 pp. No worries. The winds blow. The reef protects. The elders remember. The fish swim. The market opens at dawn. All is well. All is always well. Sleep. You are almost gone now, nearly dissolved into sleep. Your body so relaxed it feels as though you're floating weightless. These final whispers from Bora Bora are the last you'll hear before surrendering completely to dreams. Turn your attention now to the gift that Bora Bora offers every visitor upon arrival and departure. The tradition of the flower lei greeting is alive and well here, though practiced with Polynesian flair. When you step off the boat from the airport, someone places a lei around your neck, not the Hawaiian plumeria type necessarily, but often a fragrant crown of tiara flowers strung together, or a shell lei interspersed with flowers, cool against your skin, sweet in your nostrils. This gesture says, "You are welcome, you are honored, you are transformed from outsider to guest." The flowers are fresh, picked that morning, and they'll last a day or two before wilting. But in those hours they'll perfume everything you do, marking you as someone who belongs here, someone the island has accepted. At departure, the tradition is even more poignant. Leis are given again, but this time with the unspoken understanding that you'll wear them until you can no longer smell them, until the flowers brown and fade, a gentle countdown of hours until the island's scent leaves you completely. Some say if you throw your lei into the lagoon as your boat departs and it floats back to shore, you'll return to Bora Bora someday. Whether you believe in such magic or not, that moment of releasing flowers into blue water, watching them float, hoping they'll drift back, it's a perfect metaphor for leaving paradise. You cast yourself away but hope some part of you returns. Hope you haven't seen the last of this place. Hope the island wants you back. Picture that lei around your neck now, fresh flowers releasing their scent with every breath you take, marking you as someone who has been blessed by Bora Bora, someone the island has touched. Let that imaginary fragrance be the last thing you smell before sleep. Tiara flowers, coconut, salt air, all the perfumes of paradise concentrated in the necklace of blooms around your throat. Drift now to the lagoon at a specific magical time of day. The hour after sunrise and the hour before sunset are when Bora Bora reveals its most stunning colors, what photographers call golden hour. The light comes in at a low angle, warm and golden, making everything glow from within. The lagoon, already impossibly blue, becomes luminous, practically radioactive in its intensity. The white sand beaches turn honey-colored. The green of the mountains deepens to emerald. The clouds around Mount Otamanu catch fire with pink and orange. Everything that was beautiful in harsh noon light becomes transcendent in this gentle, angled illumination. People stop what they're doing to simply watch. Locals who've seen it 10,000 times still pause to appreciate. Because golden hour in Bora Bora never gets old, never becomes routine. The light seems to pour honey over everything, smoothing edges, warming colors, making the already perfect somehow more perfect still. Photographers arrive hours early to claim their spots for sunset, knowing these fleeting minutes of perfect light are when they'll capture images that make people weep with longing. But even without a camera, even just standing on a beach or floating in the lagoon during golden hour, you feel different, blessed, held in beauty so complete it approaches the sacred. This light isn't just photons bouncing off surfaces. It's the island showing you its true face, revealing itself in its most vulnerable and glorious moment. Twice daily, every single day, forever. Picture yourself floating in the lagoon as the sun descends toward the horizon, the water glowing around you like liquid gold, Mount Otamanu silhouetted against a sky that cycles through every warm color in existence. Time seeming to slow and stop entirely. This moment eternal. This beauty permanent even though it's already fading, already becoming memory even as you experience it. Let that golden light fill your mind now, washing everything in its warm glow, making even your thoughts beautiful, even your dreams golden. Feel the gentle rhythm now of something simple but essential. Coconut harvesting happens year-round on Bora Bora. Because coconut palms fruit continuously, always some nuts ripening somewhere. The work is skilled and sometimes dangerous. Someone must climb the tall palms, shinny up the trunk with practiced ease, then use a long pole or machete to cut down the heavy clusters of coconuts. Some families still do this work themselves, but professional harvesters also exist. Young men strong and fearless enough to climb 30 feet with no safety equipment, trusting their strength and experience. The fallen coconuts are gathered, sorted by ripeness. Young green coconuts are sold for their sweet water, the best natural hydration in the world, sterile and refreshing. Mature brown coconuts are split, their meat used for cooking, for making coconut milk, for copra if anyone still bothers with that. The shells become bowls and utensils, the husks become fiber, the fronds that were trimmed away become roofing material. Nothing is wasted. This harvest has happened every day for 16 centuries, the same tree being climbed by different hands generation after generation, the same satisfying thunk of coconuts hitting the ground, the same skill passed from father to son, mother to daughter, unchanged and unchanging. The coconut palm gives and gives and gives, and humans climb to receive its gifts, and this simple exchange is the foundation of island life. So fundamental it's almost invisible, noticed only when you stop to really look, to really see how much depends on these generous trees. Picture a young man at the top of a palm, silhouetted against the blue sky, machete in hand, calling down before he cuts the cluster free, the coconuts tumbling through the air, thumping into the sand below, and then his descent, quick and confident, his hands and feet knowing every inch of that trunk, his body comfortable 50 feet above the ground because this is what his grandfather did, and his grandfather's grandfather, and all the grandfathers back to the first one who ever climbed a palm on this island. Let that image of continuity, of skill maintained across centuries, of simple necessary work done with grace and confidence, let it settle your mind like sand settling in still water. And finally, at last, the 100th fact, the final truth before sleep takes you completely. Know this, Bora Bora's lagoon is home to a phenomenon called bioluminescence, though it doesn't happen every night and most visitors never see it. On certain moonless nights, particularly in warmer months, the waters near shore can contain millions of microscopic plankton that glow when disturbed. Move your hand through the water and it leaves a trail of blue-green sparkles. Jump in and your body creates an explosion of light. Fish swimming past leave glowing contrails. Even the waves lapping at the shore flash with each breaking ripple. It's as if the stars have fallen into the lagoon, or as if the water itself is alive with tiny spirits, celebrating the darkness with their cold fire. The scientific explanation, dinoflagellates using bioluminescence as a defense mechanism, doesn't diminish the magic. Standing in glowing water, watching your footsteps light up the shallow lagoon, is to witness something from a fairy tale, proof that the world contains more wonder than we usually notice, more magic than we typically see. Some nights you might swim through the darkness and see nothing, but other nights, rarer nights, nights when conditions are exactly right, you become a being of light yourself, every movement creating sparkles, the lagoon responding to your presence with illumination. Darkness transforming into a galaxy at your touch. This is how Bora Bora ends your 100 facts. Not with something you're guaranteed to see, but with something you might see, if you're lucky, if you're patient, if you're willing to swim in darkness trusting that light might appear. It's a perfect metaphor for faith, for hope, for the way beauty sometimes hides and you must seek it in unlikely places at unlikely times. Picture yourself swimming on a moonless night, alone in the darkness, moving through water you cannot see, and suddenly your hand trails stars. Your kick creates constellations. You swim through the Milky Way. You are made of light. You are creating light with your very movement. Darkness revealing its secret only to those brave enough to enter it. Let this final image carry you across the threshold, swimming through darkness that responds with light, moving through the unknown and finding magic, surrendering to the night and discovering you were never alone. The water itself was alive, waiting to glow, waiting for your touch to spark into brilliance. This is Bora Bora. This is paradise. 100 facts woven into one long story, carrying you from the first distant view of Mount Otamanu to this final image of glowing water in darkness. You know this island now, its shape and size, its history and culture, its people and creatures, its traditions and transformations, its daily rhythms and eternal patterns. You've walked its single road, swum its warm lagoon, climbed its mountains in your mind, eaten its food, heard its music, learned its language, understood its philosophy, met its fish and dolphins, witnessed its sunsets and stars, felt its winds and absorbed its mana. The island has shared everything with you, held nothing back, opened itself completely, inviting you to rest in its embrace. And now there is nothing left to tell, nothing more to show. The story is complete. The 100 facts have been spoken. The island releases you to sleep, knowing you'll carry it with you into dreams, knowing some part of you will always remain floating in that lagoon, crowned with flowers, blessed by trade winds, held by the reef, guided by stars. A to PP, dear traveler, no worries. You are safe. You are home. You are in Bora Bora forever now, because once the island enters your heart, it never leaves. The flowers around your neck still smell sweet. The water still glows with your touch. Golden light still pours over everything. Sleep. Sleep deeply. Sleep peacefully. Sleep in paradise.